Alright, well folks, as you might have noticed, this is not the shoveler. We are in Carnage, Wasteland's Dystopia. This is a public server, no password required. We are here because I am one of the system administrators. So we are here, we are going to be building a public Horde Base. And we are going to be building that right here, right on the main thoroughway. If you play on Dystopia, you're going to be able to find this at these coordinates. But right now we need to clear some terrain. There we go, a nice wide area to work with. So we're going to start with some blocks, and we need to start with a nice wide base. What we've got here is a center block, and then it's dug out, 15 blocks on a side, nice big square, 3 blocks in the center, trenches. I mean, you can see right here. You can see it all before you here. And we're going to start laying down blocks for the foundation. Alright, that's the 4 legs of the foundation, and now we lay down 16 by 16 square for the actual pad of the Sky Fortress. So we do have this raised little bit in the center to help me find, well, where the center is. So now we're going to work on the center portion. You've all seen the thumbnail. You already know what this is going to end up looking like. I have a vague idea of what I want, and that's exactly how I like to perform. With a vague idea. I think it's better to have a vague idea rather than a concrete plan.
I just think it's better to have ideas. I mean, you can change an idea.
That's the central pyramid. Now it is time to start working on the Sky Fortress proper. So we have now planned out the actual footprint of the Sky Fortress. So the inner block diameter is 23, the outer block diameter is 33, and this is the footprint for the Sky Fortress. So what we are going to do now, as you see, we went a little bit over, so we're gonna have to don't really need to expand the outline of this too much, but we do need to put down a base for the Sky Fortress to rest on, and I need that to be as strong as I can possibly make it. So that part is going to be made out of steel blocks. For you see, folks, I am not making this out of any kind of administrative block. I am only making this out of blocks that every Joe Schmo player would have access to. So you would be able to make this Horde Base, exactly this Horde Base, in your own private world, if that is your desire, exactly as I am making it. The only real difference is I have access to the dev tools. We have now got the pad down for the ring, and now we need to start putting in the invisible supports. Again, I am not going to be using any kind of administrative cheat, so the magic block is this. Catwalk V2 rail only double end. So as long as you place that on top of a full block, like a plate or a cube, that face disappears. And now, whenever I stack these on top of each other, they disappear. And this can go as high up as I like. And then whenever I place a whole faced block on top of it, the rail is completely invisible. That is how the Sky Fortress is going to stay up. But in the meantime, I've got a lot of work to do here, because this whole ring needs to be filled with these things. So I'm gonna need a montage.
The day is approaching to give it your best, and you've got to reach your prime. That's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us a passage of time. We're gonna need a montage. A sports training montage. Show a lot of things happening at once. Remind everyone of what's going on. And with every shot, show a little improvement. To show it raw would take too long. That's called a montage. Even Rocky had a montage. In any sport, if you want to go from just a beginner to a pro, you need a montage. A simple little montage. Always fade out in a montage. If you fade out, it seems like more time has passed.
Alright, folks, so what's gonna end up working good is this wedge 60 block, which isn't round like I want, but this structure is so large that even though I am using straight pieces, over the course of the scale of the structure, it's going to end up looking like the curved thing that I want. And then on the inside is just going to be more of the wedge 60 blocks. So now, yeah, they're straight, but over the size of the structure, it looks pretty circular. From the ground level, I would call that a circle. Well, as close to a circle as you're gonna get in this game. For a structure this big, let's start building up that wall, and then we can start adding a couple of the detail elements. We're looking pretty good on our fighting platform. The shapes that I am using are the cube 5-meter round catwalk 4 and the appropriately sized 5-meter catwalk that goes with it. Those two. And that should complete the fighting platform. The theory being that zombies are going to try to get as close to the fighters as they possibly can. They're going to climb the steps of the pyramid, the ziggurat, whatever. They're going to assemble in that bowl in the center, which should make for excellent grenade action. I do love me some grenade action. If it doesn't work all that well, then, well, this is a very large, very durable watchtower base. Well, zombies should be able to be shot in a crossfire. This base is designed to be used by multiple people at a time. This base probably will not work that well for a single occupant. In the little bit of testing that I did in 1.0, if somebody is here alone, the zombies will collect underneath them, kind of where they, can't be seen. But let's start working in some decorative elements. We put in a bridge, or a control room, depending on how you want to call it. Not much of a captain's chair, but it looks less stupid than the other choices. But now, it's time to start putting in some internal structures to support the fins for when those go in. So, let's see.
Executing. Proceeding. Coordinates received. Coordinates received. Engaging.
Unit completed.
Converging.
Squad 2.
Executing.
Enemy engaged. Squad 2.
Input target. Engaging.
Unit complete.
Proceeding. Engaging. Engaging. Engaging.
Enemy engaged.
Yeah, that should support the fins pretty good. Or pylons, or whatever you want to call them. And then something on the sides here to support the roof. These wedges in like this. That will do quite nicely. Of course, there's going to be no protection from the ground, no place to hide, so we're going to have to put in some kind of a room, probably right here. And then this can be just a little safe place to hide. We can put some supplies in here, the electrical controls, all of that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and build up these walls. Get some of the internal structure in. So we ended up with wedge 60 blocks facing in one direction. And then wedge 60 blocks facing in the other direction to form the interior of the corridor. Just like that. The internal structure of the Sky Fortress is looking pretty good. We've got a good lot of progress done. We've got the cap in. But while I was looking at my reference material to see if I had the fins down correctly, in order to get the fins in, they're going to have to go at the north, south, east, and west to get the shapes to work correctly. However, if I'm making a screen-accurate Sky Fortress, the control room is 45 degrees offset from the fins. And if I'm going to all this trouble of making the Sky Fortress, I'm making an accurate goddamn Sky Fortress. So I've had to move the control room to this diagonal so that the 4 fins are going to line up correctly. Now, unfortunately, I've had to take out the control room that I had already put in. So I'm just moving that stuff, and it's just going to be like some other kind of control room. But taking the window out, and I'm bricking this up with outer hull plating. Internally, I'm not moving anything. I could probably add another, let's add one of those, because that seat is just a bar stool. There you go. We've got another spot for a technician. We need something on the roof. So let's do on face. There you go. Now we've got more technician stations. And now we've got, I don't know, vehicle controls over there, weapon control over here, a nice commanding view for the captain, and we're going to put his chair here. And now we have our bridge.